Adshem Yehava Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon everyone who catches this message. It's time for a party. Today's party is called See Love in Action. I'm going to play a little bit of music before we get started up. Very spot have you here, brother. Shalom Barak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, my brother. Came in right on time, walked in on your own theme song. That's what I'm talking about. A lot of things moving and shaking in the last few days. So that's what this particular broadcast is going to be about. What's going on and what the plans are for the future. Akati Deborah, it's very tabah to see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, your circle. That goes to everyone here, especially you, Ak Coleman, and Akati Deborah. The Stick Justice Pro. Hi. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you. Thank you for coming to the party. Looks like we've got 11 in YouTube land. We're going to get things started in just a moment. Usually we would start around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and go to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We get together to talk about ethics in entrepreneurship. Looks like we have someone who wants to be anti-sociable inside of the chat room. It's a good thing that this is an adult room. And right now, I'm not actually in a moderator tool, so if you decide you want to act a clown, you can act a clown. We're here for serious business. We're here walking and witnessing with the standards of Yahweh Elohim. We walk with the guidance of Ravak HaKadosh, and we live by the example of Yahashua HaMashiach. At-Tabah. It's very tabah to have you here. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for greeting with peace and respect. Thank you. Shukran. As I was saying, we get together to talk about ethics in entrepreneurship. There are actually 10 different special interest groups that we focus on, and each of them has a perspective that we look at concerning organic marketing strategies. Normally, we would be multi-streaming on both YouTube and TikTok. However, TikTok doesn't like how I play with their toys. It's sort of restricted for about another 3 days. And that's all right. Not too worried about what TikTok says or does because we're really not restricted. That's just because I'm using this app called Restream. I can go into my TikTok account right now and go live if I chose to. With that being said, the reason why I use YouTube is because after I'm done with this broadcast, it's going to be saved on the playlist. We've been going since somewhere mid-March or the end of March, talking about ethics and entrepreneurship. Now, along with that, like I said earlier, since we are walking under the standards of Yahweh Elohim, and our guidance is through the wisdom of Ruach HaKodesh, and our example is Yahshua HaMashiach, that leaves the question of, okay, well, where do the standards and the codes come from? There's the Apocrypha, there's the Bible, and there's the Quran. Most people would tell you, if they're from the biblical perspective, oh, you shouldn't be reading the Quran. Those people who come from that perspective haven't read it, because the Quran is actually a companion to the Bible. The miracle of the Quran itself is the fact that the stories in the Quran were not meant for people in Persia to even know about. Because in a parking lot, now I did choose the far side of the building, however, that doesn't stop people from coming and going, right? So, as I was saying, just noticed something out the corner of my eye that was really odd. That person just moved their car 3 spaces over. Anyway, the miracle of the Quran is the fact that the stories that are in the Quran, the Surah, are talking about instances in the Bible. Each Surah is talking about how to still stand on the same standard and code as Yahshua HaMashiach, as Elijah and Elisha, as Noah, as Adam. Same standards and codes. Abraham, Moses. Before corporations, we were enterprising. The cookie cutter style of corporations has removed the human element. You ever eat something at a restaurant? It's bland. You go back 2 weeks later just to test to see, and it tastes so much better. You say, wow, somebody put love in this plate. Remember going to your grandma's house, and everything she served tasted great, and it was fulfilling. It filled your mind, it filled your body, and it filled your soul. Because you didn't just go through there and hastily gobble down some food. You were fed soul food. Grandma's gonna talk to you for a minute. Matter of fact, she's gonna talk with you. Mama make you a plate. She sit down and talk with you. She talking with you while she's preparing. That's grandma and mama. What about pops? What about your father? Same thing. Come here, I want to show you something. Talk with you while you're learning. Feed your mind, feed your body, feed your soul. See, that's compassion. And a person who actually stands behind what they do, they have a standard. They have an ethic. They have a code of ethics. When they follow through, you would say they have a strong work ethic. That's how you can see love in action. How many people jump up so proud because they have a job to report to? They got a job. And then they go there and they're not productive. They're just there. They're just standing around, finding excuses to be able to stand on the clock, but not toil. Even though they claim they have a toil. Then they come home and I'm so tired. Tired from running away from toil at their toil. There's a phrase that my Akati says quite often, and I love it. Some people don't know what love looks like. See, it's not hearts in your eyes, or your heart beating out of your chest, or little hearts floating up above your head and all that. No, that's not love. If all that's going on, I would say check your eyes. Whoever happens to be observing you needs to be checking their eyes. I've seen stars, but no, I haven't seen hearts and whatnot. It's a nice sentiment. It's a nice way to emote or portray your feelings. Two hearts in the eyes is my heart and your heart. See it together. But no, that's not love. It's an action. Some people say emotions are actions. In order for an emotion to be in action, you have to consider the fact that your body produces a hormone. Hormone is sent to your brain. Your sensories fire. Your body reacts to the hormone telling you about a certain stimulus. That's the action. Now, how you react shows how you love. You can react with concern and ask, hey, is everything okay? Or you can use discernment, realize something's wrong, figure out what's wrong, and go fix it. Then go back and console the person having the problem. Because otherwise, you could spend 2 weeks consoling and never fixing the problem. 2 weeks ago, I started an adventure, purchased a new phone. Last time I purchased a phone, it's about 3 years ago. Purchased a phone from someone who I worked with. He said, hey, phone. I got this charger. Charger $5 for the phone and $7 for the charger. And I said, hey, I need both of those devices. Here's $12. Now, prior to that, it's about 3 or 4 years since I bought a phone. And the reason why I purchased the one for $5 is because my phone was on its way out. It was burning out. The screen was going away. It was cracked. It had overheated a few times in my hands while I was using it, whether it was plugged in or if I was just using it for uploading and so forth. That's how I know when it's time for me to replace my devices. I know how they act when they're on their way out because I've done this process several times over. So when I purchased that phone 6 years ago, I went to Walmart and I bought the cheapest Android I could find. They're usually around $80 to $100. So when I bought the phone for $5, it's because I knew that I was not going to spend $80 to $100 on the phone. However, I needed one. When I turned it on, it worked fine because I used it for Wi-Fi. And I had another phone that I was using to hold my signal. Now, lo and behold, my original phone from 6 years ago burned out on me about 6 months after I purchased the $5 phone. So I dug around and found one of my old phones that was still somewhat uh, compatible with current software. However, it burned out quickly. Found another phone that was all right, and it burned out maybe 6 months into using it. And I was expecting that because it wasn't meant to do what I do with phones. Needless to say, I have not used a telephone contract system. That goes all the way back to my first Cricket, paid by the month. There was no 3 month lock in, 6 month lock in, get these kind of benefits, uh, purchase a phone and use it for 6 months while you pay off your phone. Here's $1,000 bill. No, I didn't do any of that. My phone bill would be anywhere from $35 to $65. There was a time when Boost had a plan going where you could you could do unlimited internet, unlimited talk and text, $65. That was the best going rate at the time. Uh, that eventually turned into somebody offering 45 or 50 or something like that. However, I had been with Boost for so long that even when I downgraded to $35 a month, I was able to still get the benefits of the unlimited plan. Y'all, pardon me, I've got eczema going across my It's been nearly 10 years. Nah, that's exaggerated. It's definitely been 3 years since I've had a telephone plan because I've been away in Georgia. I was pretty much not locked into a house. It was a small town that I was in. Spent most of my time at the house producing instrumentals and videos and uploading them. That was my day. Every day when I'd wake up, that's what I would do. And aside from that, I would be studying scripture, and there was also studying improvements on sound engineering, improvements on graphic designs, improvements on video effects, improvements on knowledge of cryptocurrency and Web3 navigation. Spent 2 years straight. When I'd get up and leave the house, it would be because I went somewhere to walk around town. Used to play a game called Pokemon Go because it actually would do a little route that you could take from one side of town to the other, capturing Pokemon and also counting your steps, basically. You know, now if I wanted to, I could walk from one end of town to the other in less than 45 minutes just walking. So I would play the game just to have something to do. Sometimes I just walk around and see the sights and play back the music that I had been producing. That was the way I would rest my ears and my mind from whatever it was I was putting together. Because that's how my day would go. Wake up, pray over the day, turn on to the Risings Live, which is hashtag find Kofi. Listen to what he had to say and what was his message. Later on, catch broadcast that my brother, the Mad Trucker, had done. See what he's talking about. By the time midday would come around, I would have made a song and started uh, rendering images for the videos. Sometimes I use live footage where I capture it from my camera on my phone, whether it's pictures or videos, or I go to different sites that are for AI art. I'm an artist as it is. Got plenty of catalogs of things that I've drawn and things that my friends have drawn. I use those as storyboards because we have comic books, we have stories, we have books. We've chosen an alternate route as a form of publication. Yes, you can go and register with Amazon and a few different publishing companies, and come to find out, you're going to barely get 45% of profit for each book sold. Not only that, books are expensive. It's great to have books and nostalgia and all of that. However, since people aren't reading books as much, it's just as easy to put information on a screen. And if you want them to read, you just put words on your picture. That means that you could really have a 30-page book, and then you think to yourself, I need 30 pictures because now I can post one page per day. And after 30 days, I will have published my book. And then you take those 30 pictures and you line them up. There's even editing effects where you can make it look like a person is turning the page. You can set it up like a book. And then beyond that, once you actually have those images rendered, you can make them available for a person to download them. And when they download them, they can go print them out and they can have it right there in front of them. whether they want to hang it up on the wall or assemble it as a book, because there is the option of printing front and back. And if you line up the pages correctly, then yes, you can do that. I have a laptop from 1999 that aligns pages so that if it was connected to a copier, it would print front and back. So it's up to you to line up how the pages go. All of those things can be done in Microsoft Office. We are paying for convenience, and that convenience is actually reaping benefits away from us. And then we turn around and we don't even invest in ourselves. We are being ravaged, and it needs to stop. See love in action. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. We seek the protection of our Father against shaitan and the evil ways while we travel the divine path. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata alladhina an'amta 'alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. In the name of our Father, the most merciful, the most compassionate, Lord over all, creator of our deed, the most merciful, the most compassionate, Lord over all worlds, creator of our deed, our divine path. We ask you to forgive us when we disobey you like others have done in the past. We ask you to show us how to forgive others the way that you forgive us. We thank you for giving us the divine path. It said when we pass away, we will meet our Creator, and our Creator will ask each and every one of us, have you heard Surah Al-Fatiha? If you've been listening for the last 2 or 3 minutes, you've heard it in both Farsi tongue and in English. If you'd like to find out more, you can go to Quran.com. That's Quran.com. 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 You'll be able to find all of the surah there, both in Farsi tongue, Persian, and in English. Written in Farsi, and you can then actually hear it, and then you can see it written in English. Al-Fatiha is the first surah. It is the opening of See love in action. The miracle of the Quran is that Prophet Muhammad, Allahu Sallallahu wa sallam, our Father's peace and mercy be upon him, all prophets before him and all after him. The miracle is the fact that Prophet Muhammad was able to tell the stories of the Injil. It's not the gospel, it's the Injil, the lineage of Yahashua HaMashiach, son of Mary. Somebody just said something real inappropriate. Subhanallah. All praises to our Father. The miracle was that Prophet Muhammad could speak on the lineage. He could tell the stories of Yahshua. He could tell the stories of Joseph, Yusuf. He could tell the stories of Abraham. He could tell the stories of Noah. He could tell you the story of Lot, Ibrahim's nephew. He could tell you the fact that Mariam was also Musa's sister, two different Mariams. Those stories are in the Quran. And there's a certain ethics and standard that you have to have in order to say that you are knowledgeable, that you are intimate, practice the standards of Quran. Because the surah in the Quran are held with the same respect as the Psalms in the Bible. And the Psalms in the Bible are considered prayer. You have to have a certain standard. You have to have a certain way that you live, a life that you practice on a daily basis, minute by minute, hour by hour, second by second, moment to moment. Car's about to get noisy. Riding around town on this scooter, I feel like a drone. I feel like a bee drone. The buzz from the tires. And then, of course, there's a Bluetooth subwoofer in there. So I'm playing my own music. And all of my music sounds like a giant killer bee buzzing around town. All right. So, oh, where were we? I like to read through the Quran and find where the stories link up. Last week, Colette Kofi was telling us about the word humility and what it means to be humble. Found the synonyms, the similarities with such words like to focus, to be occupied, to report, because the word humility from the English translation is not the same word that's in the Bible. The word that's in the Bible says anava. Anava means to report. Be humble. Report. What is there to report? Hmm. Where have we heard that one before? What is there to report? So last week, someone challenged my humility and my credibility, all while I was going through the process, trying to make sure I had a signal so that I could do these broadcasts. because this goes beyond these broadcasts. And I'll tell you something. Person pulled up, sitting in their car idling, and you can hear it sounds like a muffled helicopter. So meanwhile, I'm battling to get my signal so that if I am out and about and I do it live, I can be wherever I want to be instead of having to find a strong signal. I want my own personal signal so that when I do my coffee ceremony, I don't have to bring my coffee with me in the Nomad studio. That might turn into a practice though, especially once the signal is actually connected. Because this goes beyond doing a live broadcast. I need to have the option to upload my content at any given time. Not only that, I offer classes for those who want to actually learn how to navigate the internet in profitable terms. I offer classes. And with that being said, I also want to put this message out, and I want it to be very clear. My direct messages and that I open are not there for people to dump their garbage. What do you mean? Would you leave your kitchen, walk outside, go knock on your neighbor's door, and say, "Here, have this bowl of poison"? What do you mean? Be careful what you share to people. Do not share poison amongst yourselves. Do not share poison to me. It's subject to get ignored, or it's going to get a question back from me asking you why you sent it to me on public display so that other people will learn. Don't do that. What do you mean? On TikTok, I did start a chat group. That chat group is called Sahaba. It is for the promise keepers, those who have taken the oath, La ilaha illallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is none, none, no one worthy of worship except Allah. All praises to our source of sustenance and mercy. That's what that group is for. That means I don't want anybody coming in there dropping off garbage and poison that they found on their For You page. That's not what that chat group is for. That chat group is so that people can share what they are actually doing as an activity that supports and maintains and builds the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim. I started a channel on Discord. It's actually been open for some years. Got a little bit of activity going on in there. That is the place where I will be conducting classes because there it's private. I share different things that I go through throughout the day that I won't be sharing on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, because Discord is also leading to a complete private shared network. We're going to go into Web3, which involves owning cryptocurrency, And we're also going to go into building our own shared network. Not everybody is going to be allowed to go into that shared network. Not everybody on Discord is going in there. It's a filtering process. And right now, I'm full of disdain because I'm not seeing any responses. Anava, humility means to respond. Response goes beyond saying hi. Response means turning in your work. Saying that you prayed for somebody today. Be careful when you use that phrase because your prayer is your thought, your words, and then your actions. And that's not just saying some words. It means what did you do to apply yourself to alleviate that person from their stress, from their pain? What did you do besides saying some words? That's to report. That is to remain focused. That is to be occupied. Because other words and otherwise, as they say, your words are only going to go up as high as the ceiling. Whether that's you're standing in a building, it's not going past the roof, or you can be outside, it's not going past them clouds. Message will not be received. Because to be honest with you, our creator, Yahweh Elohim, is within creation already and outside of it. So your prayer is not even being heard outside of your own lips and your own ears. Because all you're doing is saying empty words. You have to be active. See love in action. There's a reason why people don't know what love looks like. People have been told the wrong information. So much so that they are guided by the wrong information. So much so that when you put the truth in front of them, they will fight you. When you put pearls before them, they will trample over them in the mud, or they will try to attack you because they think that you tried to attack them with some pebbles. And the whole time, you were giving them gems. When you give a person knowledge, and instead of accepting the knowledge, they decide they want to argue with you about it, it's the same thing. If they don't ask you, well, how can I apply myself to what you just told me? It means that no, they didn't learn anything. And see, that's something else we need to understand. Just because you heard something somewhere, or even if you read something somewhere, doesn't mean you learned it. You haven't learned it until you apply it. I read some words somewhere. These are what those words say. And did this according to what those words say, because I learned something today. I heard so and so say blah, blah, blah. Well, what did you do? Well, Pastor Kofi said blah, blah, blah. And what did you do with it? Because at the end of his broadcast, he also says, blessed are those who actually go about and do these words in this message. Another humility, to be focused, to be occupied, to report. You can tell a person who is within the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim because they have a certain bearing. They are always about certain activities. There are certain things that they won't do. There are certain things that a person who is reproachable won't approach them about. Because there's a such thing as energy, vibrations, communications. Your hormones pick up things that your ears don't pick up. And it gives you a certain vibration off of what somebody else is doing, feeling, or thinking. Some of us are gifted enough to where we strongly are empathic. And we can feel that. We also can give that energy. We can go into a room and the room will be at ease. The room will be at peace. The room will be joyous because we walked in being joyous. What about that time or those times you get that twisting feeling in your guts? Because see, that's what happens to me a lot. Everybody wants to run around and make a joyful noise. That turns into just that, noise. Everybody's running around talking about, I got that joy, joy, joy. You might want to look up what joy, joy, joy means. I decided that I want to live, work, pray, so Yahweh can use me. And that means that sometimes it's not a joyous occasion. Sometimes it's a somber occasion. And it doesn't mean that we've lost a loved one because they've gone to the next kingdom or anything like that. No, sometimes it's a somber occasion because we have to look at social difficulties in the eye and start figuring out how to fix it instead of trying to sweep it under the rug or throwing a band-aid on it or throwing a joke at it or thinking that throwing money at it is going to fix it. So that joy, joy, joy is not in me. No, no, no. What is in me is to revel, to revel, chazan, chesan. That's why I miss my coffee moments. Water. I just went through that one. Got one more with me. Brought one of those little Snapple fruit punch packs so I can put some flavor in it if I want to. But that's not the same as coffee. I had my coffee before I left the house because I didn't know what I was going to get into. You see, son, revel. It means to rejoice. That's way beyond having that joy, joy, joy. That is celebrating. And I'm constantly reveling. Constantly. When my eyes are open and I'm conscious to this reality that we all share, I'm reveling. I'm thankful that I can breathe. I'm thankful that I'm 6 feet above the ground. And I'm thankful that I can be of service in the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim. I'm reveling. And how am I of service? Because I'm studying all day, every day. And when I'm not studying, being productive with the things that I have learned, because I find knowledge and then I apply it by setting it to music and assigning pictures and then making a video that I upload as content and share it around the world, not on just one platform, on many different platforms. That's why I'm agitated about not having my signal, because I should be able to upload at any given time. Instead, I'm having to run around town. Now, I'm not mad about it. It's something that I predicted 3 years ago. The guy I was toiling for. I even told him, man, I'll be your apprentice. You show me your business, and I'm willing to work with you. I don't want to take over your business because you have daughters and a grandson and a son-in-law. I don't want to take over your business. I don't want your business. His business is moving furniture and sometimes doing uh, landscaping for apartment complexes. He even started out doing a cleaning service, commercial cleaning, right? I don't want to do any of that. However, I wanted to know the ins and outs on a direct level about how a person conducts themselves when they have an LLC. I heard about LLCs and I met people who had them and all that. However, I was working right underneath a man who had his LLC. As a matter of fact, some of his friends had LLCs. So I wanted to know. And the best way to know is to be part of the crew. Now, I wasn't just your ordinary grunt because I did his paperwork. He had a funny way of doing his hiring process. If somebody passed away, that's when he would have an opening. So 3 years ago, I'd already been working with the man for 8 or 9 years. Told him that I wanted to be his apprentice because it's something that Kofi had been talking about. Go out and find someone that you can learn from. And he said, well, I can show you only so much. However, you know a lot. And I want to learn from you. You be my student, I'll be your student. I said, that's a fair exchange. For everything that I do, I will set up the same thing for you. That developed into valuable visions. Now, with valuable visions, I started establishing different assets concerning graphics for promotions, promoting ideas, promoting organizations, promoting businesses, services, and products. Valuable visions. It also started a logistics company. It's on the table, so to speak. There isn't really a warehouse and box trucks assigned to that logistics company because that company belongs to the brother I was working for and with. When we parted ways, it wasn't a send off party. As a matter of fact, I had to terminate our agreement because he just kept on adding on instead of allowing me to leave. You see, 3 years ago, I told him if it came down to it, I could be somewhere in the woods. All I need is access to electricity, Wi-Fi, food, and water. Got my own tools. And I'll make sure I've got clothes on my back so I'm decent whenever I'm around people in public. How are you going to do that? Because if I have one e-wallet or several e-wallets, I can accrue, I can obtain, I can add up cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency can be exchanged for products and services. I can use certain platforms where people can actually pay me directly. They can pay me on platforms and service, or I can use Cash App or PayPal because I set both of them up as business accounts because I have a business. See, my business is Highest Heights Studio, and I'm a talent scout. I am hired to promote those who are using their natural born talents, and that goes beyond running or catching or throwing a ball or dancing or singing or even making music. Your natural born talent is that ability that you have inside of you that allows you to be able to give a service or a product to other people without the same effort that other people would have to take. You have that way of putting love in services. Love is compassion. Love is when you see someone else in need and you reach out and you help them. That's an action. If I tell you I love you, it means that I'm looking directly at you and whatever I can find to help you is what I'm doing right then and there. You might not even know exactly all of what it is until after the fact because I'm not going to jump up and down and stamp my feet about it. I'm just going to do it. If I told you that my net salary is 65,000 per quarter of the year, most people would look at me like I was crazy. 65,000 times 4. That's my salary. And in order for that to happen, that really means I have to be a part of an organization that can net 650,000 per quarter. Why? Because I don't have to be the CEO. It's not what my talents are. No. I analyze, I organize, and I make things more efficient. That's what I do. That's what I've been trained to do. At 16 years old, the CEO of the local Goodwill was looking at me saying, if you will be patient in 6 years, we're going to place you as a CEO. Graduate high school and get your first degree, and we're going to place you as a CEO. That's when I was 16 years old. Do you think that my people skills and abilities have gone away? gotten better and stronger every day. All thanks and praises to our Father. I'll show you something. At one time, that was me. I turned down the offer when I was 18. Didn't stop me from being who I am. Turned down the offer before I even got my diploma. Because when I was 17, I was told the things that I was wanting to do were not going to be possible. Not the way that I wanted to do it. Not the way that I saw it being beneficial. Not the way that I saw where I could actually go and learn. No. We've got this path lined out for you because we see the potential in you of just being able to walk along and handle just doing those things. I'm sorry because when I was 16 was when I was learning about how important it is to revel, to revel. I'd been through the Bible about 4 or 5 times by then, still honing in on the book of Revelations, honing in on all of the prophets, reading in the stories of Kings and Chronicles and all of the different prophet books, Hosea, Nehemiah, Ezra. And at 16, one person handed me the autobiography of Malcolm X, and another person handed me a Quran. So I was able to start comparing notes when I was 16, not quite 17 yet. So I had that under my belt when I was 16 and started working for Goodwill. Now, mind you, I wasn't just somebody who walked in on the street. There were actual connections inside. I was connected to the person who was the plant supervisor, basically the second in command after the CEO. Had connections. Now, that person wouldn't have set me up for such a thing unless that person actually knew about who I am, and what I do. We wound up having some long talks before I made that decision to turn down what was being offered to me. You see, I have a thing about not liking being nauseated because sometimes love will make you feel nauseated instead of hearts in your eyes. Because you'll see one of your loved ones banging their head against the wall, and you love them so much you're trying to make sure that they don't bang their head against the wall. You love them so much you jump in front of them so they bang their head against you instead. And you're nauseated because you even show them, hey, if you do this thing over here, then you don't have to keep doing this. But no, they want to keep banging their head. And you feel nauseated because you try everything. Everything. You get to the point where you do start praying, okay, Adon, please give me the strength. Please give me the guidance and the wherewithal to help my loved one in this moment of distress. Because I don't know what to do anymore. I leave it up to you. I lift my hands to you. Leave it to Yahweh, right? And then along comes a messenger, or along comes some person, or along comes a thought in your mind. Try this. Do this. right now. Respond. Focus. Be occupied on it. Be humble. See how that works? I'm quite humble pretty much all the time. Stories I tell are not about me being braggadocious. It's about telling you what I've experienced when I applied some knowledge and the experience that I got out of it so that I can tell you some wisdom in a story and how I became conscientious of that and was able to pass it on to other people even before I opened my mouth to say it now. So let's do a little short recap because we've been on for about an hour and 5 minutes, the ticker tells me. I am offering classes on the Discord channel. It's private. It's invitation only. I suggest you respond to the invitation. I offer a private channel for text chatting on TikTok. I suggest you use it for talking about your activities of building, maintaining, and supporting the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim, and let no trash be there. If it doesn't have your name on it, if it doesn't have your face on it, if it doesn't have your activities on it, you're falling short of the mark. Focus. We don't have time to share amongst ourselves garbage because we're supposed to be sharing amongst ourselves our actual activities. I was trained the same way Yusuf was trained, mostly because I have the same abilities that he had. I was trained the same way Davad was trained, mostly because I have the same abilities that he had. I was trained to be like Elijah. Aside from the order of Malachi Zadok, there's another special order within the Injil, within the lineage. They are called Essene, Essene. Most people don't know about the Essene because most people haven't gone past quoting John 3:16. I know about laying my hands on somebody and not doing it suddenly. I know about stretching across a body. I know about checking their breath. I know about sharing my breath with them. I know about exchanging energy with people. I know about being around someone and them feeling lifted up and stronger. I know about it because they told me about it. I say they because it wasn't just one person. I've been trained. So I got this list, right? It's a playlist. Right now, I've got a lot of files that are M4A. They're audio files, but they're M4A. And I'm going to change them over to MP3s. And I'm going to upload them to these different shops in the name of certain studios. I got to counting last night. There's 9 studios that I'm going to represent on this island. We're going to have our own island, right? Developing this concept. So 9 different radio towers that transmit. Okay, each one has its own studio. because there's 10 different special interest groups that I represent, right? And in the last 3 years, especially within the last 7 or 8 months, I've been developing a lot of instrumentals, and I need to dedicate them to the different special interest groups because every time I made an instrumental, I also made a video, and the video was showing a message, and they're all assigned to different special interest groups. So it's going to be some mixtapes. I remember now. Was it 10? It's either 10 or 11 mixtapes. Can't remember right now. Excuse me. Each one of them is going to be dedicated to a specific studio. So we're about to launch studios and music. And each one of those mixtapes is also actually the soundboard. And the videos all lined up together are making a soundtrack and a short film. Each mixtape is a short film. I'm about to be focused on doing that. God willing, that is the task. So that's what's been going on, and that's what's going on in the future. Never bought a phone that required a contract. So I was naive when I bought this AT&T phone. I didn't realize. See, they have 3 prerequisites if you want to unlock it and use a different network besides AT&T. First, the phone must be completely paid for. Check. Bought this phone for $35 from Kroger's. Second, you must not owe a bill to AT&T. Check. Never used AT&T. This phone has not even been turned on yet, as far as that's concerned. I've been using Wi-Fi. Check. Third, if you are an AT&T client, you must have been at least on for 60 days. If this is a prepaid phone, then it must have been on for at least 6 months. Big old red X right there. So I've got this chip, the SIM chip from Mint Mobile, and placed it in my phone, and I activated the chip. So it's on. However, the phone is locked. Because at first it was telling me my phone was unlocked. When I went and checked it in the settings, it said, yes, your phone is unlocked. When I switched out the AT&T SIM and put in a mobile SIM, oh, this device had a fit, right? So right then and there, I gave this new device a name because R2D2 is at the house. So this is R2D4. So this one came from the Empire. The other one, we go way back. Everything on it, I put it on there. This one's a little different. Most phones that I've purchased, every phone that I've purchased, I've been able to open it up, start up whatever connection on whatever network I chose. It's the first time I've had to go and use what they are telling me I must use. So I'm going to be involved in an activity of finding out how to circumvent that big red X because I need to go ahead and use the chip. I do have another option in another device. However, this device was purchased specifically for that. Now, I think I might go over here into Goodwill, see what kind of Android devices they have on display. Options are options, right? See, always, and when people say think outside of the box, with me, there is no box. There's nothing holding anything, not holding me and not holding any items. We live on a vast planet. Everything therein belongs to Yahweh. So all we have to do is explore our options. Yahweh, Ahava. Our creator is love. Ahava, Ahava. Love is love. When you see someone that needs help, go help them. Don't ask them if they need help. If you can see they are in distress, think within yourself, what can you do to immediately help them? Go do it. Don't expect a thank you from them. We're not in this for that. We are here to build, maintain, and support the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim. That's compassion. That's complete compassion. Amitabha, Amitofo. That is how you would say compassion in both Chinese and Japanese. Go out there, be the reason somebody else smiles. Go out there and apply yourself so that someone else has a great day, a Tabah day, a holy day, a lawful day, because it's within you. You're not supposed to just sit around by yourself, not interacting. And if it comes down to where you are physically immobile, there's nothing stopping you from generating a picture and sharing it about how you feel or about what you've been doing. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. If you can share the link to some atrocity somewhere, you can share how you've applied your knowledge. Because Yahweh Elohim is not pleased with you sharing atrocities. That is not your task. That is not your assignment. We are here to alleviate atrocities. We are here to expunge nauseating situations. Selah. Hashem Yahweh Elohim Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. The next time we see each other, please do yourself and me a favor. Go read Kings. Open up your book, open up your Bible to the book of Kings and read. You see, I found some treasures. I found where they were withholding tithes and offerings, and eventually the treasure box was brought out, and the carpenters and the maintenance people were being paid to maintain the temple area. You see, I found a place that mentioned a second Ishmael who was not from the house of Ishmael ibn Abraham. Because Ishmael was not from the same house of Ishmael, son of Abraham. I saw where there were people from Persia who were wanting to contribute to rebuilding the temple, and they were turned away because they were not acting according to the standards. You see, whenever the temple was being rebuilt and maintained, it was during a time when there would be a righteous king. And the problem was that righteous king was always surrounded by kings who did evil in the sight of Yahweh Elohim, whether it was on either side of that person's lifespan or as neighbors. There would be prophets and priests and all of these other people who would say, oh yes, just go and do this way over here because everybody's doing their thing and everybody's being prosperous. And there would be one that would stand out and say, this is not the way. And I'm talking about the prophets and the priests and the priestesses who would say, no, that is not the way. This is the standard. You see, I found where they found the book of standards, the scrolls. Yes, go read First Kings. I found where 100 righteous priests were hidden in two different caves, 50 to one cave and 50 to another cave. You see, that's interesting because there's a surah in the Quran called the people of the cave. Selah. Do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Go read First Kings. Father's peace to everyone who has caught this message. See love in action. And much love and respect.